All right, mate, let's have a real talk. Ever wondered why so many Aussies are struggling to get ahead, even when they're working their guts out? You do everything right. Get a job, pay your taxes, try to save, but somehow it still feels like you're treading water. Well, turns out there are some sneaky deals, backroom agreements, and dodgy policies that are quietly keeping the average Aussie broke. These aren't just conspiracy theories. They're the real, behind-the-scenes forces making sure that wealth stays concentrated at the top, while the rest of us keep running on the hamster wheel. From property market manipulation to skyrocketing costs of living, from corporate tax loopholes to government policies that quietly favor big business over everydays. Australians, these hidden mechanisms are bleeding your bank account dry. The worst part? Most of this is happening right under our noses, wrapped up in confusing jargon and bureaucratic nonsense so that the average person doesn't even realize what's going on. So, let's pull back the curtain and expose the truth. Here are the top 10 secret deals and policies designed to make sure you never quite get ahead, no matter how hard you work. Buckle up, because this is going to be eye-opening. 1. The housing market cartel. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. Just buy a house, mate, like it's that easy. But the truth is, the entire housing market is rigged in favor of investors, developers, and banks. It's not about supply and demand. It's about who benefits from keeping prices high. Governments pump in billions through negative gearing and capital gains tax discounts, making it ridiculously profitable for people who already own properties to buy more. The more properties they own, the more tax breaks they get. Meanwhile, first home buyers are left scrambling, trying to save a deposit while house prices skyrocket faster than their wages. Then there's the land banking problem. Developers buy up huge chunks of land but don't build anything, waiting for prices to rise so they can cash in later. That means fewer houses are built, supply stays low, and prices keep climbing. At the same time, rental prices are going through the roof because there simply aren't enough affordable homes to meet demand. And let's not forget the banks, happily handing out massive loans to investors while making it tougher for first-time buyers to get a foot in the door. The whole system is designed to keep property prices high, ensuring that ordinary Aussies stay locked out of homeownership or drowning in mortgage debt. So next time someone tells you to just buy a house, ask them how to beat a system that's been rigged against you from the start. 2. The supermarket monopoly racket. Have you enticed how groceries keep getting more expensive, even when your wages don't? You're not imagining things. Your weekly shop is costing more, and there's a reason for it. Two big players, Coles and Woolies, control about 65% of Australia's grocery market. That's not competition, that's a straight-up duopoly. When just two companies dominate the market, they get to call the shots. They squeeze farmers for the lowest prices, leaving many struggling to stay afloat while jacking up prices for consumers. No wonder local butchers, grocers, and independent supermarkets keep disappearing. It's because the big chains use their market power to push them out, buying up smaller stores or undercutting them until they can't compete. Meanwhile, their profits keep soaring. Even during times of economic downturn, these giants find ways to make more money. Whether it's through sneaky price hikes, shrinkflation, where packages get smaller but prices stay the same, or cutting supplier costs while charging customers more. And let's not even talk about the fake discounts. Have you seen a special that's actually just the regular price from a few months ago? It's all part of the game. So next time you're staring at a $12 lettuce or a $10 pack of mints, just remember, it's not inflation alone that's killing your grocery bill. It's a system designed to keep prices high while the big guys cash in. 3. The Wages Suppression Pact. Let's talk wages. For years, wages have barely budged while everything else, rent, groceries, fuel, has skyrocketed. Why? Because big business and the government have a silent agreement. Keep wages low to keep profits high. Enterprise bargaining, which was meant to help workers negotiate fair pay, has been deliberately weakened over time, making it harder for employees to push for better conditions. Minimum wage increases? They happen, sure, but they barely keep up with inflation, meaning real wages, what your money can actually buy, are effectively going backward. Meanwhile, at the top end of town, executives are cashing in big time. CEOs rake in multi-million-dollar bonuses for cost-cutting, which usually means slashing jobs, freezing pay rises, and squeezing more work out of fewer employees. And let's not forget the casualization of the workforce. More people are stuck in insecure jobs with no sick leave, no job security, and fewer benefits, all while trying to keep up with the rising cost of living. Even when unemployment is low, businesses still find ways to keep wages stagnant. They'll import cheap labor, outsource jobs, or lobby the government to keep workplace laws in their favor. It's all designed to keep profits flowing upwards while everyday Aussies struggle to make ends meet. So next time someone tells you to just work harder, remind them that no matter how hard you work, the system is built to keep wages low and wealth concentrated at the top. 4. The Banker's Paradise Agreement. Every time you take out a loan, you're stepping into the bank's playground, where the house always wins. They lure you in with promises of competitive rates and great deals. But once you're locked in, the real game begins. Fees for this, charges for that. Suddenly, you're paying hundreds, if not thousands, in administration costs for a loan that exists as numbers on a screen. And interest rates? Banks will hike them up the second the Reserve Bank makes a move, but when rates drop, they're in no rush to pass the savings on to you. They'll tell you they have to raise rates because of rising costs, but then they turn around and post billion-dollar profits like clockwork. Funny how that works, isn't it? And when things go south, if there's a financial crisis, recession, or even just a market downturn, banks know they'll be bailed out. Governments will step in to protect them, ensuring their profits stay safe. But you're on your own, stuck paying off an overpriced mortgage, dealing with sky-high interest rates, or worse, losing your home while the big banks keep rolling in cash. At the end of the day, the system isn't built to help you. It's built to keep the banks winning, no matter what happens to the rest of us. 5. The Petrol Price Fixing Scheme. Why does petrol always magically go up before long weekends or holidays? It's like clockwork. 1 minute, you're filling up for a reasonable price, and the next, it's jumped 30 cents overnight. Coincidence? Yeah, right. The truth is, fuel companies are practically running a legal price-fixing scheme. They blame it on global supply issues, refinery maintenance, or market volatility. But funnily enough, prices move in unison across different brands like they're all in on the same joke. How comes no one ever seems to be the first to lower prices, but they all raise them at the same time? That's not competition. That's a well-orchestrated game where you always lose. And if you think switching to an electric vehicle will set you free, think again. Policies and taxes conveniently make EVs more expensive and harder to access. Charging infrastructure is patchy, government incentives are weak, and there's still a luxury car tax on some models. Why? Because keeping us hooked on petrol means big profits for oil companies and ongoing fuel tax revenue for the government. At the end of the day, the system isn't designed to help you save money. It's designed to keep you paying, whether at the pump or through policies that keep alternative options just out of reach. 6. The Private Health Insurance Rort. We have Medicare, so why do we also have an expensive, convoluted private health system? Simple, because insurers, private hospitals, and the government all benefit from forcing people into overpriced health cover. It's a rigged system where you pay more, get less, and somehow still end up out of pocket. Every year, private health insurance premiums go up, but what you actually get in return keeps shrinking. More exclusions, higher excess fees, and confusing policies that leave you wondering what you're actually covered for. Need surgery? Sure, private insurance might get you a shorter wait time, but only after you fork out for the gap fees that somehow never seem to be covered. And if you decide private insurance is a ripoff and skip it, the government slaps you with the Medicare levy surcharge, basically a penalty for not paying into the private system. So either way, you're forking out cash, whether it's for rising premiums or extra taxes. Meanwhile, private hospitals and insurers keep raking in billions, all while politicians, many of whom have ties to the industry, keep the system just complicated enough that people feel like they have to buy in. So, whether you have private health insurance or not, the system is designed to make sure one thing happens. You keep paying, while the big players keep cashing in. 7. The Higher Education Debt Trap. Once upon a time, university in Australia was cheap, or even free. Hard to believe now, right? These days, students graduate with tens of thousands in HECS debt, which, just to add insult to injury, grows every year with inflation. That's right. Even if you're not earning enough to start repaying it, your debt still increases. Meanwhile, universities have morphed into giant corporations, more focused on profits than education. They charge international students top dollar, rake in billions in government funding, and yet still somehow claim they need to cut staff and resources for local students. Wondered why lecture halls are packed, courses are being cut, or tutors are overworked? It's because universities are prioritizing revenue over education. And then comes the big moment, graduation. You've put in years of study, taken on a mountain of debt, and now you're ready to start your career. Except, the job market isn't what it used to be. Good-paying full-time jobs in your field are scarce, and entry-level positions now require 3 years of experience plus unpaid internships. By the time you actually start earning enough to pay off your HECS debt, it's grown so much that it feels like you're back at square one. Education was supposed to be the ticket to a better future, but for many, it's just another financial trap designed to keep you paying while universities and the government cash in. 8. The electricity price gouge. Australia has some of the highest electricity prices in the world, and it's not hard to see why. Our energy market has essentially become a playground for private companies that prioritize profits over people. Instead of providing affordable and reliable power, these corporations manipulate supply and artificially restrict availability to drive up costs, all while everyday Australians bear the financial burden. When privatization was first introduced, we were sold the promise of increased competition leading to lower prices and better service. But in reality, that promise was nothing more than a fairy tale. Rather than fostering genuine competition, the system has allowed big energy companies to dominate the market, set prices to suit their own interests, and lock consumers into complex and often misleading contracts. The result? Skyrocketing power bills, confusing pricing structures, and constant uncertainty for households and businesses alike. While families struggle to keep up with rising energy costs, private companies are reporting record profits year after year. And let's not forget the government's role in this. Despite claiming to push for affordability, policies continue to favor corporate giants over everyday Australians. If we truly want fair and affordable electricity, we need to rethink the way our energy market operates. Greater regulation, stronger consumer protections, and even a move back toward public ownership should all be on the table. Otherwise, Australians will continue paying the price, literally, for a broken system that puts profit before people. 9. The tax system rigged for the rich. Ever wonder why billionaires and big corporations seem to pay less tax than you? It's not a coincidence. It's by design. The tax system is stacked in their favor, full of loopholes, deductions, and offshore havens that allow them to legally minimize or outright avoid paying their fair share. Big corporations use complex accounting tricks to shift profits overseas, where tax rates are lower. They exploit legal deductions, claim massive write-offs, and in some cases pay next to nothing in tax despite making billions in profits. Meanwhile, everyday workers have no such luxury. Their income tax is deducted automatically. They pay GST on almost everything they buy, and they're hit with countless other fees and levies. Governments often justify these tax breaks by claiming they encourage investment and job creation. But in reality, many of these companies hoard profits, pay executives obscene salaries, and distribute billions to shareholders while cutting jobs and wages for workers. At the same time, public services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure remain underfunded, leaving ordinary taxpayers to pick up the slack. If billionaires and big corporations actually paid what they owed, we'd have more than enough to fund essential services without squeezing everyday people. It's not that there isn't enough money, it's just in the wrong hands. Until tax laws are rewritten to close these loopholes and hold corporations accountable, the burden will continue falling on those who can least afford it. 10. The Casual Worker Exploitation Plan. Casual work used to be something students and part-timers did to earn extra cash. But now, it's taken over entire industries like retail, hospitality, and even teaching. Why? Because it's cheaper for employers. Casual workers don't get sick leave, annual leave, or redundancy payouts, and businesses can cut shifts whenever it suits them. For workers, this means constant uncertainty. You might have plenty of hours one week and barely any the next. There's no guarantee of a stable income, making it nearly impossible to plan for the future, get a loan, or even pay rent on time. Meanwhile, businesses rake in the savings, avoiding the costs and responsibilities that come with permanent employment. And it's not just low-wage jobs anymore. Teaching, nursing, and other professional fields are increasingly relying on casual contracts. Highly skilled workers are being treated as disposable, with no long-term security. Governments and employers argue that casual work offers flexibility, but that flexibility is mostly one-sided. It benefits businesses, while workers are left to scramble for shifts and juggle multiple jobs just to make ends meet. Job security shouldn't be a luxury. It should be the standard. Without stronger protections, casualization will keep spreading, leaving more Australians in unstable, insecure work. If we want a fairer system, we need serious reforms to ensure workers aren't stuck in a never-ending cycle of uncertainty. So, what can you do? Look, the system is designed to make life tough for the average Aussie. Rising living costs, stagnant wages, insecure work, and skyrocketing bills aren't just bad luck. They're the result of policies and corporate practices that put profits before people. But that doesn't mean you have to just cop it. There are ways to push back, make smarter choices, and take control where you can. The first step is to get informed. The more you understand how the system works, the better decisions you can make. Knowledge is a powerful tool, whether it's about tax, workers' rights, or how big businesses operate. Instead of relying on what you're told, dig deeper and stay aware of how policies impact your daily life. Supporting local businesses is another way to fight back. The big duopolies in supermarkets, banking, and energy dominate the market and drive up costs while squeezing smaller competitors. Whenever possible, shop local, support independent businesses, and keep your money circulating in your community rather than lining the pockets of corporate giants. Demanding change is also crucial. Governments and big corporations won't change unless they're forced to. Push for policies that benefit workers, fight against unfair tax laws, and call out corporate greed when you see it. And finally, invest wisely. Even if the system is stacked against you, learning how to grow your money through smart investments, saving strategies, and financial literacy can help you gain some control over your future. At the end of the day, knowledge is power. Now that you know the game, you can start playing it a little smarter. Stay sharp, mate. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Let's keep the conversation going. See you in the next one.